Parenthood and Children. There's a lot more to think about. Having a child raises so many questions, and I think it is important to ask yourself questions before committing to having a child. For example, how many children do I want? For women, am I okay with potentially and permanently scarring my body because of a C-section? Should I finish school before having kids? School is important to me, so will I have time to actually finish if I wait until after? Do I actually want kids? Is that a commitment that I'm going to be able to make? Should I just adopt? After all, there are a lot of children out there living in orphanages without a home filled with loving parents. If I do decide to have kids, should I just plan my delivery? It seems like it would be a lot more convenient and less stressful than having to potentially get up in the middle of the night to drive my wife to the hospital. Am I really ready? Am I ready mentally, financially, and emotionally? Like I said, there are a lot of questions, and those are just a few. Like most things in this world, everything has a cost and reward. According to the book Marriages, Families, and Relationships by Mary Ann Lamana, Agnes Reedman, and Susan Stewart, having children means a completely different thing than it did in the past. For example, children are no longer considered to be economic assets to a family. Children are now considered to be a liability. They are considered to be liabilities because they are no longer out in the fields plowing and farming, or in the kitchen cooking and cleaning, at least to a certain extent. Because of the shift and modernization of society, children have become liabilities because now, instead of working at home, they're going to school. They need clothes and other daily essentials. Children no longer provide the extra financial support that they once did. Because of the cost of having a child, some people refrain from having them altogether because they feel that their way of life will be diminished. It is extremely expensive to raise a child, and that cost goes up every year. I think that there are many more factors than just the financial cost to consider, though. People became much more attached to their children as the decades went on, which was due in part to declining mortality rates of infants. So mothers and even fathers were no longer as afraid of losing their child at a young age or even later on in life because of the advancements of our medical field. When it comes to having children, married couples are much more likely to stay together and not divorce. However, the quality of the relationship can suffer because of kids. This is due in part to the fact that no matter how much people try to do the opposite, they more or less end up becoming a more traditional family. A more traditional family is a kind of family where the mother ends up doing almost all of the household chores, cleaning, and cooking. This actually leads to dissatisfaction in many mothers these days. According to Voluntary Childlessness, the Ultimate Liberation, working mothers experience tremendous demands on their time and energy, and as a result of the combined responsibilities of a job, a family, and a home, career-oriented wives may increasingly consider the child-free state as a liberating alternative. Another major issue that arises from having children are the stressors that happen from work and having children. Nowadays, people are having children later, which means that they are further into their careers than younger people who have children. This has seemed to become a stressor and disruptor in working parents' lives. For some people, all of these things tend to make them want to avoid parenthood altogether and stay child-free. In fact, a lot of people feel that they have better relationships with their spouse because they chose to remain child-free. Other people want to wait to have kids until they are settled in life and feel like they are financially and emotionally ready to have a kid. Unfortunately, many times they feel as though they missed the chance to become a parent because they simply put it off for too long, and now it's too late because of their age. Conception. Women are beginning to have children later in life than they did a few decades ago. In fact, if a couple has a kid in their 20s, they are considered to be too young to become parents. There are positive aspects, though, to having children early And one of the most important aspects is that people are actually able to have kids when they are younger with less of an issue or complications. With that though, schooling can sometimes take a back seat because people decide to have kids at a younger age, which results in people getting started in their careers later on in life. But just like there are positive aspects to having children earlier in life, there are positive aspects to having children later in life. According to the text, one of these positive aspects is the fact that many older mothers feel like they were more prepared in a personal developmental way. Another great thing to note is their place in their careers, which was a negative for younger parents, is a positive for older parents. Generally, women who wait longer to have children are more capable to attend their children's after school and extracurricular activities because of where they are in their career, and that gives them the flexibility to leave work early or take time off. And again, though there are many benefits to waiting to have children until later in life, difficulties do start to arise when people wait. It does become more difficult to actually conceive a child, and there are higher risks of having complications or abnormalities with their child. As I have said from the beginning, parenting raises a ton of questions, and raising kids in the 21st century raises even more questions. The text brings up a lot of questions, such as, should baby boys be circumcised? Should my baby sleep with me? How much fast food is too much? Is my child bullying others? Being bullied? Should I believe the teacher who says my child needs medication? Is my child entering puberty too early? Does my child spend too much time playing video games? How can I keep my child safe while online? May I let my child walk to school? Does my teen text while driving? What should I tell my child about terrorism? Should I have a parenting app? These are challenges that people who were raising their kids even a couple decades ago just did not face. At least not to the extent that they do today. Because there are many people who wait to have children until they are older, they end up having to care for their aging parents as well as their kids and work, which makes life extremely difficult to balance. The 21st century does bring a lot of challenges when raising children. However, there are a lot of great things that have happened because of it. Parents are much more educated and have a lot better of an understanding when it comes to child development and raising children techniques. This is due in part because classes in high school and college are required for most general education. Another great thing about raising children in the 21st century is the technology and social media that has come with it. Because of these things, it is incredibly easy to keep in contact with a child and vice versa. There are even apps that parents can put on their phones in order to locate and find the exact location of their children. Finally, we have Google, an unlimited source of material to answer just about any question a parent can have. As a young father myself, I can definitely understand the difficulties of choosing to have kids young instead of waiting until I was older. I understand that it's difficult to balance school, work, and parenthood, and I can see how all the technology that we have at our fingertips can help to stay in contact with our children, but I also see how much more difficult that same technology makes it for children who see things that they should not see, how easy it is for them to get bullied or even be bullied, and how everything they do can potentially be on the internet forever. I see the difficulties that my wife and I have when it comes to focusing on our relationship when there seems to be so little time for everything else going on in life. There are a lot of changes that have happened throughout the years when it comes to parenthood and children, and I know that in another decade things will change again. What I believe that it comes down to is that we do our best to raise well-rounded children and help them become strong members of society and not burdens on it. Every generation will have its challenges, and just like every other generation, with hard work and effort, we will produce thriving members of society. According to Jerome Kagan and Stephanie Kuntz in their article Raising America's Children, one reason that child-rearing advice has been so contradictory and unhelpful over the ages is that childhood is not a fixed category that we simply need to teach parents to meet. Parents are most effective when they understand the constraints under which they operate and stop expecting to learn magical formulas that will transcend these.